Alright, welcome. So, as I said, change of scenery for Tim's Inner Monologues number 7. I did mention that it would happen. We do have much better lighting. You can see myself. There's a mirror right there. The rest of the setup is there. Originally, I wanted the setup more to look there. But the camera USB length isn't enough. So, you guys can see here, kind of wanted it to show here. But then that window is the biggest problem. And then obviously I don't want to face myself again in the mirror, because then you could see me twice, and see me once is bad enough. So this is gonna be the setup. Obviously we've got a bit of graffiti up there from a couple years ago, and then we have our lovely couch down here. So this is what you're gonna deal with. This is what it's going to be. I've also moved my microphone elsewhere, so it's now here instead of the other way around. And yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about Tim's Inner Monologues number 7. So, I've just been outside of London. I want to clear a quick thing up. I don't need any editors, and I don't need any sort of paid production, right? These is mainly unedited, because eventually there will be some sort of editing, maybe some cutout, maybe something to show up on the screen of what I'm talking about. But the majority of these videos are unedited, because it's mainly for me, like I mentioned in the first one, to talk about obviously the whole aspect of things. So don't be alarmed if you never see editing, or custom thumbnails, or additional high pop-up music, or some sort of Subway Surfers in the background. It's just not going to work. So I kind of wanted to elaborate on being more social. How to be... Actually, you know what? The different one. We'll break addiction. So addiction's a really, really good one. So today's Tim's Inner Monologues number 7 is going to be on addiction, how to break it, and how not to get back into... how to not get addicted again. So addiction can come in all sorts of forms, right? It can come through drug use, alcohol use, it can be pornography, it can be social media, it can be phone usage, it can be maybe addiction to another person, it could be addiction to, when I say substances, I mean all substances, apart from coffee. Coffee's always good. I'm not addicted. But again, addiction, and I was going over this last week with a few people in person. I was in Hyde Park for a Catholic event. It was a picnic event to commemorate the last one for the summer, and I was talking about it with them for a little bit about what addiction is. And I said it bluntly. I said addiction is a way to cover up a permanent problem with a temporary solution. So it's like, for example, if you've got a massive cut across your leg, and all you're doing is you're putting a tiny little bandage on it without, and then every 5 minutes you put on another little bandage because the bandage has fallen off, and then you're like, oh yeah, it's really going to stop the bleeding, when in reality you've got a cut about yay big and it's killing you. But that little bandage is probably doing 0.1% of what it's actually supposed to do. And if you were to buy on some leather and get it sewed back up, but you do it. So, addiction is effectively a way to solve a temporary problem. Solve a permanent problem with a temporary solution. That is the harsh reality of it, guys. That is the absolute harsh reality of it. Never have I ever seen somebody that's an alcoholic or somebody that's a drug addict and their whole life is completely fine. No one sat there and said, yeah, Tim, I do heroin, coke, ketamine, weed, the whole lot. But you know what? I've got a functioning family, 3 kids, and I'm really, really happy with my life. They've always got something wrong. Maybe it might be family, maybe it might be finances, maybe it might be a way to escape work. I say escape, I put in brackets. But a lot of the time, addiction is down to, obviously, temporary solution for permanent problem. Lack of God. I very, very rarely see heavily religious people being addicted to something. And I also think it's a weak mentality to have as well. So when today the addictions, I'm mainly talking about substances. substances and social media. So social media addiction is a little bit different than substance addiction, but they both are addictive. That's the main thing. So when it comes to substance abuse, I talk alcohol and drugs mainly. Obviously, there's certain other things, but alcohol, drugs, two main substances. Alcohol and substance abuse have the same root of cause. There is a problem in life that you are not willing to address on a longer term scale, maybe because you don't know how to, or maybe because it might hurt you in a way, or you're not willing to change. Those are the three reasons. And the only way that you can find it can temporarily stop it is through substance abuse. Oh, well, if I drink copious amount of alcohol, then my problems go away for the weekend until I have to realize it Monday through Friday, for example. Or same with drugs. Oh, if I smoke weed all the time, then my mind isn't focused on the problem at hand, but every time I stop smoking weed, the problem is there. But the harsh reality is that the problem never goes. No matter how many substances you absorb, no matter how many times you take it, the problem will always be there. Now, I'm not going to delve into how an addiction is started too much, because obviously you take substance A, and then you take it again and again, and it gets a little bit weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker, and you're constantly trying to take it, and you take it more and more and more, and then you go into the heavier stuff. That's the same with pornography. You start off lightly, you go into heavy stuff. Same with social media. You start off lightly, then you're completely addicted to it, scrolling every single day, rotting away in your bedroom. But addiction is a weak man's thing. Now, it's not weak to admit that you are addicted. For example, I am addicted to caffeine. I know, partially there, but I used to be addicted to pornography. I used to be addicted to video games. I'm now a little bit, not addicted, but addicted to my phone, for example. But the addiction is always there. Everyone's always addicted to something. Or the majority of are. So, when it comes to substances and stuff like that, the temporary solution is always, because many people that are addicted see it as a short-term thing. They're very short-sighted. So they will look at their life on a week-to-week basis. Oh, well, if I survive this week, then over the weekend I can do straight cocaine and forget about the week after. The way to battle substance addiction is super, super simple. You need to find the root and underlying cause. So, again, this can vary for everyone. This could be family, this could be mental issues, this could be body dysmorphia, this could be, I don't know, maybe it runs in the family. For example, your whole life you've grown up with people being alcohol addicts, and then you just become an alcoholic as well. Maybe it could be something to do with family. Let's say your family's falling apart and you don't know how to cope with it. Let's say you are struggling with work. In order to break an addiction, you have to replace it with something addictive, in a sense. But you have to make sure it's a good addiction. So there's a difference between bad addiction and good addiction. Now, when I mean by good addiction, I mean, like, for example, being addicted to the gym, being addicted... No, don't start blasting steroids. That's not what I'm trying to tell you. But, like, addicted to the gym, addicted to some sport that you play. Maybe you really like playing basketball every day and you can't stop thinking about basketball. Maybe it's fighting. Maybe you love to fight. Like myself, for example, I can't go a day without training, and I've been almost 2 weeks without full-time training. I'm going insane. But in order to break a bad addiction, you have to replace it with a good one. That's the reality of it all. And just got to turn that off. Otherwise, that's just going to keep on bleeping every 3 minutes. Anyway. So, I mean, that's just the reality of everything, right? In order to remove an addiction, you have to find the root cause and then find something to replace it. For example, if every single weekend you're drinking alcohol because, I don't know, your family is in a little bit of a mess, and the only way that you see to fix your family or ignore your family is by drinking alcohol every weekend because you're at the pub and you're away from the family, why not? You've already found the root cause, now you need to find the solution. And obviously the solution can take time, maybe counseling, maybe therapy, maybe there's some underlying money thing with the family, that's why there's a absurd relationship. the list goes on. But you have to find the problem and come up with a permanent solution. Now, when it comes to family, it could be, like I mentioned, dealing with that. But when it comes to maybe your personal life, so let's say, for example, it's your job. Let's say you're in a job, you really, really hate the job, and you get paid very, very little, the boss hates you, the whole shenanigans, you know the drill. Oh, 9 to 5 sucks. You know the problem. You find a temporary solution by escaping from your job because of alcohol. You feel like, oh, okay, well, if I get drunk every weekend, or if I do some sort of drugs, then I kind of forget about it and I work for the weekend, right? If you want to solve that problem, you can do it by getting either another job or learning a skill to get out of the job to find something else, or starting a business, becoming profitable, starting a side gig, going into full-time, the whole shebang. It's super, super simple. And that's the reality of life. In order to solve a permanent problem, you must have a permanent solution. And that takes time. That takes energy. That takes sacrifice. But no one's willing to do that. No one's willing to give up a certain amount of time in their day. No one's willing to put down the alcohol. No one's willing to do anything. But the first step is realizing what problem you have. And it's then finding out why you do it. So find out the problem, find out what addiction you have, find out why you do it, and then find out how to fix it permanently. If you have a problem, for example, let's say, right, you're trying to fall asleep and your back, there's something in your back always stabbing you. Let's say it's a knife in this example. There's a knife in your mattress and you're trying to fall asleep. Are you going to sit there and hope the knife goes away overnight? No. You're going to get up, grab the knife, move it out of the mattress, make sure you're not bleeding, and then go back to sleep. But in reality, a lot of people just sit there and go, just let the knife, let the knife just carry on stabbing me. It's no problem. And then you wonder why they end up dying the next day. Or losing all of their blood. Now they can't walk anymore because they've had spinal damage from the knife all night. You have to be able to understand that an addiction is only caused through your own fault. Yes, arguably fine. If alcohol addiction runs in your family or drug abuse runs in your family, it might be a little bit difficult. But again, it's still down to you as an individual. If your whole family are drug addicts and you as a young kid have seen what damaging effects does it do, you know how bad it is, you have the upper hand of not taking the drugs and being, the break of the curse, being the black lamb of the family and getting out, saving it. But then again, if you just sit there and go, oh, well, it's been normalized in my life, and blah, 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 then you develop this, I like to call it the victim mindset. Oh, like I remember I mentioned this in the hard work episode, where everyone sits there and goes, oh, well, it's not my life. Oh, it's everyone else's, it's society's problem. It's not mine. No, I'm fat. It ain't my problem. You know what it is? It's Big Pharma. It's the big food companies feeding me food. When in reality, you're the one picking up the fork and eating it. It's like I made myself oats an hour ago. It wasn't Big Oat Farm or the Big Oats Company making oats for me. I made the oats, I sat down, I put some jam in it, put some biscuits in it. I ate it before making this video. That is the choices you have to be willing to take as an individual. But the harsh reality is many are not willing to do it. Now, solving an addiction. Now, let's talk more of two more common addictions that many people don't like talking about. Pornography addiction and then social media addiction. Social media addiction is very, very easy. There's only one reason why you do it. It's because you're bored. That's it. If I was to tell you, hey, I'm going to make you have some fun for the next 5 hours, you're probably going to do it over 5 hours of doom scrolling on the internet. But you do it for two reasons. You're bored and you want a dopamine hit. Then, you need to take the time of long-term gratitude, being able to achieve certain things, being able to, do things and getting the serotonin levels up and fixing your dopamine levels. But the social media addiction comes down to one thing. You are bored, right? And I'm not saying, for example, you post like there's other social media addictions. I'm talking about like scrolling on social media with short form content. Yes, obviously there's addiction where you have to post everything. Like you have all the social media guys taking pictures of themselves every day and going, "Oh, I really will make it big." That's a little bit different. That's narcissism. That's a whole different thing. And again, it's the same thing. It's because you're bored, because you want attention, because you want this something that you can't get from everybody else, but you can get it from the internet. Very, very popular in women nowadays. But again, you can get somebody that will talk about it much better than I will. Because I'm not some red pill ranting guy. But I will do the red pill video. I will do it probably next week. Not too sure when. And I need to conjure up with some more thoughts and how I would do it. So that's social media addiction. Now pornography addiction is a little bit more difficult. Because pornography addiction is something that men suffer on a regular basis. And obviously, yes, there are women suffering porn addiction as well. But the majority of men suffer from pornography addiction. Now, a lot of people don't like talking about this because it's seen as a touchy subject. No, and the reality of you watching pornography boils down to just a few reasons. One, you're bored. The amount of times when I was addicted, I would watch it because I was bored. Or the amount of times I know mates, guys that would watch it, or my mates even. Why do you watch pornography? I'm not even in the mood. I'm just like, I haven't done it today, and I'm bored. So that's not reason number one, is because you're bored. Reason number two, another second reason, is because you lack discipline to not do it. You know pornography is bad. You know it. Anyone that says pornography is good is a psyop, by the way. I know it's more of an informal video. I don't want to be speaking too formally in this one because if I sit there, I don't want to be seen as some highest pious on a chair and I'm like, hey, I'm not addicted to anything. I'm better than all you guys. It's not the case. But the reality is, you know it's bad for you, yet you're still watching it. I know it's bad for me. I don't watch it. Occasionally, yes, I might fall into finding it on the internet and delving in deeper, but I'll never watch and, masturbate to it, for example. It's just not the case. And that's the reality of it. You know it's bad for you, but you still want to watch it because it's a routine for you. So it kind of delves into the boredom cycle. Oh, you're bored, but you've always been doing it. So it's like a daily routine, right? It's like every morning, if the first thing you get up is to have a coffee, and you stop having a coffee every morning, it breaks like this weird routine that you have. Subconsciously, you no longer have this morning coffee routine. And the mug says, it's too late to swap you now. My dad, I got that, or my mum got that from my dad. Funny. And the third thing is that you struggle with lust. You struggle with the sin of lust. Now, again, I could go over how pornography is absolutely terrible. It is Satan's playground and how it ruins relationships, etc. I'm not going to go into that because that's a whole nother story. I'd like to have statistics and anecdotal evidence to back up my claims. But pornography addiction, the third one, is that you struggle with lust. Now, it might be lust as in, I know sex is bad and I'm not going to have sex until marriage, but I need to get it out eventually, right? Or the fact that you're, obviously, sex crazy maniac. The way to defeat this is you need a stronger relationship with God. Ask God for strength. So I'll give you a story. So I was struggling with lust. I was back in 2023. And I remember I was like, I would go weeks without watching it and then I'd break it. Weeks without watching it and break it. And I remember I was scrolling on Instagram. Oh, well, by the way, if you're trying to quit pornography, stop going on social media. Social media now is just a softcore website to try and link you into pornography. Super important. So delete all the people that you're watching off the internet. But I'll go into this a little bit more detail. But yeah, stop using social media. And delete all the women that you don't talk to online because it's a trap. It could be a trigger. For example, if you notice that every time you're on TikTok and there's a hot woman bouncing on the screen, you go to Pornhub and watch. Stop watching TikTok and stop watching women on the internet bouncing. Simple enough. So back on it, 2023 around February, and I remember I was struggling with this greatly, and a prayer came up. the prayer on my Instagram reels came up saying, Lord, deliver me from, all lustful thoughts, deliver me from pornography, da 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 da. And I remember I prayed it. I prayed it because I was struggling really, really badly. And then I joke you not, 10 back-to-back softcore porn videos on Instagram. Bam, 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 on my reels. Immediately I closed the phone, threw it across the room. Ever since then, I have not done it to pornography since. It's been a year and a half now. I tell that to people, I haven't done it in a year and a half, and they look at me as if I'm like crazy. It's not crazy. The world has gone crazy. It's like, there's a saying, and it says this. It says, I don't know which saint said it. The world has gone mad, and they are hitting you, saying, why aren't you mad like the rest of us? And so, that's what pornography is. And I feel that if you are to get a strong relationship with God, you are to humble yourself and say, God, I'm a weak man. I'm struggling with this. I need your strength. I need your deliverance. I need your help. God will grant it for you. Guaranteed. Then it's up to you to keep it. Oh, ice cream ban. No. And that's what God will do. Increase your relationship with Him and ask for strength and deliverance. However, you have to do some of the work. You have to do the work yourself. So, for example, let's say you're bored. You're always bored. That's the number one cause, is you're bored. It's a routine, so you got to break the routine. Let's say you break the routine, but you're bored. And let's say, I don't know, maybe you do it before you have a shower or something like that. It's at 11 o'clock at night. And you do it because you're like, oh, well, I'm about to have a shower anyway, so what does it matter? Realize this and then cut it out. So if you know you have it, I don't know, 11 o'clock or before you have a shower and then go to bed, just immediately have a shower and then go to bed. Stop watching it. Stop going on your phone. If you're bored at night and then you go, oh, why not? Stop going on your phone at night. Replace it with reading. Replace it with sleeping. Replace it with something different. If you're doing it through the day, for example, let's say instead, and you're bored, find something else to do. Find a hobby. Find something important. Learn a new skill. Watch YouTube videos on a new skill. Hit the gym. That is life advice. Hit the gym. Go outside. You can't be bored if you're doing something. You can, watch pornography if you are bored. If you realize, I am bored the majority of the day and you're not doing anything, you have to be doing something for your mind not to wind up to it. It's the same with any addiction. If the addiction is a routine, the only way to break the routine, the only way to fix this is by breaking the routine and replacing it with something else. So for example, if every weekend you go to the pub and drink heavily, the only way to stop it is by not going to the pub, not drinking. I don't know, maybe let's say every weekend you go hiking for 2 days. Oh, now you can't suddenly drink because you're hiking. Or maybe you're doing an ultra marathon and now you can't drink because you're doing an ultra marathon. The emphasis is there. The majority of addictions become a routine-like thing. It's like when you break up with a girlfriend or boyfriend, you feel empty inside. Not because you miss them, it's because, obviously you do miss them, but you miss messaging them. You miss going to someone and saying, hey, I've got these problems, because it's become a routine. And I learned that from my old coach and good time friend as well. He said the same thing when I broke up with an ex-girlfriend. I was 3 months in, and I said, I missed it. He goes, no, you don't miss her. You miss the routine. You miss messaging every morning and having a call at night. That is what you miss. And then I replaced it with something else, and I was fine after that. And that's the reality of life. That is the cold, harsh truth. If you as an individual can find a way to replace being bored, you will be fine. Now, activities are endless, whatever you like. If you're like me and I love fighting and training all the time, if I'm bored, I just go to the gym. If I'm tired, I just go training. If I'm bored, I'll watch Forex videos or make a YouTube video. Try and keep myself occupied. But maybe you might be a little different. Maybe you like hiking more. Maybe you like, sewing. Maybe you like doing woodwork. Maybe you like playing football. It doesn't matter. If you want to beat addiction, and especially the addiction that many young men face today, and then young women as well, find something to replace it with. And pray to God for strength. Now, again, when it comes to addiction of substances as well, but I talk about addictions as a whole here. Effectively four ways to beat addiction. Firstly, you want to find what the root problem is. Why are you doing the drugs in the first place? Secondly, you want to find a permanent solution. Now, this might take time. Obviously, it's easier said than done, guys. But again, find a way for the permanent solution and then implement it. So no matter how long it takes, if you can find the permanent solution, you'll be fine. Thirdly, you want to ask for God for strength, deliverance, clarity. Ask Him to be there for you no matter how you feel, no matter what happens, so you can get rid of your addiction. And fourthly, you want to break the routine. That's 3. Fourthly, you want to break the routine and replace it with something else. If you can do that, I guarantee you there is no addiction in this world that will be too difficult for you. Nothing. Oh, and one thing, you have to go cold turkey, by the way. You have to go cold turkey. It's not like with pornography, you can start slowly watching it. I watch it every day, and then I'll cut it back to 2 days, and then 4 days, and 8 days, and 16 days. No. You have to cut it off completely. You have to go cold turkey, you have to suck it up, and you have to deal with the problem at hand. If you're getting withdrawals because you're bored and you can't stop watching pornography, you're going to have to deal with it. And the sooner you realize that addiction is Satan's temptation, Satan's, I guess, power, Satan's way to get into you and turn you away from God, the sooner you realize that, the faster and easier it is to remove your addiction. Again, when I mention addiction, it could be anything. Addiction to anything. It could be to social media. It could be to you could be addicted to taking steroids. You could be addicted to pornography. You could be addicted to social media. You could be addicted. I already said that. You could be addicted to alcohol, to substances. You could be addicted to something negative. If you can replace that negative addiction with a positive one. So, for example, instead of scrolling on social media, you could be addicted to reading. Instead of watching pornography, you could be addicted to hitting the gym. Instead of drinking alcohol, you could be addicted to going outside and hiking, or exploring nature, or going to church every morning. Instead of taking drugs, you could be, addicted to going to the gym. Obviously, I know I'm not the best therapist when it comes to this. Don't come to me with addiction problems and ask me how do I solve them. And then expect for me to give you a therapeutic answer, because I'm not a therapist. I don't want to be a therapist. I think the majority of them are wasting their time and your time. That's a whole other segment for another time. But anyway, the most important thing is there. Find out what, why, how, and do it. Actually do it. You can't write out a whole paragraph of how to fix my addiction and then not do it. It's like all the guys that journal every single day and then they don't implement of what they're supposed to do. If you add a to-do list and you don't do anything on that to-do list, you have failed the to-do list day. Stop writing out another to-do list for tomorrow if you're not going to do what you did yesterday. I'm going to go to the gym, but I'm going to go to the gym to lose weight. Have you got a gym membership? No. Have you thought about going to the gym? Yes. Have you got a gym membership? No. Have you stopped eating fatty food? No. Have you got some gym clothes? No. How many times this week have you skipped the gym? Oh, I haven't been to the gym yet. It's been 4 months. You're not helping yourself. So I want to leave that with you guys. I know this has been a longer video. In fact, I think the longest one I've done so far. But the best way is that if you really need some help, go to your local priest. If you are a Catholic, go to confession. If you're not a Catholic, become one and then go to confession. I haven't been to confession yet because I'm not a baptized Catholic. I will be. I pray Easter of next year. But go to confession, or even go to a priest and ask him and say, Father, I have all these problems. How could you help me? What could I ask God? Because God already knows what you want before you even tell him. that is my advice. Go to the gym. God bless you all. Have a fabulous Sunday. I'm going to spend the rest of my Sunday working, and then probably just going outside and taking my dog for a walk. But God bless you all. It's been an absolute lovely pleasure this week. I will be keeping up with these videos, and I like doing them on a regular basis because it's a nice way to break the routine that I have had the last couple years now. And it's a nice way to improve on my speaking, improve my videoing, and I actually like staring at myself more in the mirror now. No, but yeah, overall, I just like talking quite a lot, and I think it's good. I think it has resonated with a few of you, so it's always been lovely, absolute pleasure. I will see about doing one tomorrow because I just need to think of ideas to talk about. But anyway, God bless you all. Have a fabulous Sunday, and take care.